I didn't go to college or uni. Academia wasn't for me at that particular time. And she said, there's this place called McDonald's opening up in Dudley High Street. McDonald's, what's that? Oh, they sell hamburgers. And I said, yeah, I'll give it a go. Let's have a look. So I went down. The store hadn't even been built yet. So they were recruiting for a new restaurant. Okay. Store number 69. Everyone having an opportunity to progress. But sometimes some people won't, and they'll find their level. You know, I can go and mix it with anyone on the restaurant floor. You know, okay, I can still work till, I can still work fries, I can still work grill, and I can dress products. Okay. It'll take me a couple of seconds to work out but I've still got that manual dexterity to be able to function. And I think if you're passionate about it, you know, going to work, if you call it work, you know, sometimes I struggle to call it work because it's a passion. You know, it's your life. It is your life.
Alhamdulillah, God gave me everything. Alhamdulillah.
You make a choice and say, come hell or high water, I'm going to do this. Then you should not be surprised when you are that. And I gave my soul to this game. There's nothing more to give.
Everest is obvious to climb because it's there, it's a mountain. Personal Everest, you can't see it. No one can see it but you. Never give up on a dream.
Just look deep within myself and ask myself how much I want it. What am I here for? Don't lose that desire.
I want to unleash the beast.
When I sat here in this crowd, US 93, and saw all these guys, you know, I realized it's there. It's there for the taking if I put the time in.
Be true to the game, because the game will be true to you. If you try to shortcut the game, then the game's going to shortcut you.
Welcome to the game. Today we've got Martin Braham, McDonald's franchisee, over 3 McDonald's, serving over 1.4 million customers per year, as well as 260 employees, I think. Correct. And you've been running a charity golf day for, I can't remember the name. What's the name? Is it
Ronald McDonald House Charities.
House Charities for the last 12 years.
Yep.
And that basically funds a hospital for parents that have got children ill in hospital.
That's right. Well, it goes part way to doing that. It's the funds that I raise through the golf day is a sizable chunk. However, you know, it's about £750,000 a year to run the house. Okay. The house that we have in Birmingham, which is just down by the Children's Hospital, it's a 60-bedroom house. Looks after parents and families of children who are unfortunately sick and in the hospital. So if people can't afford hotels, this, that, and the other, they can stay there, and it's great because they're right next to the hospital, and they have their own rooms. There's no charge for staying there, and they can stay there for as long as they need. As I say, it's a 60-bedroom house, and so there's a few staff in there that we have to fund. And my charity day, which I run currently at Coventry Golf Club, we spread it around to different golf clubs, but every year we get a bunch of guys and girls and we have a golf day and we raise some money. It goes towards running the house. So I think we've done it this is my 13th year coming up in May, and roughly we've probably raised about £220,000 for the house, which me and the team are immensely proud of, and long may it continue.
Was that initiative brought by McDonald's, or was that your own kind of?
There's 13 houses in across the UK. Okay. And as a franchisee, one of the things you want to do is give back to the community. And one of the easy things for me is to get involved with the house. You know, I'm quite passionate, but that's something else I do in my spare time, amongst other things, which we may get onto later. But golf is a passion of mine, and if I can combine both things, looking after, helping Royal McDonald House and the parents of those poor sick children, then I'll do that. That's great, and it just a way of giving back and helping the charity.
Yeah, because not a lot of people realize, but I'll say it right now, because you came from crew member all the way to franchisee and now franchisee consultant. Yes, so let's. I think the best way to do it is start from the beginning, because let's learn about you.
Okay.
I think you joined at 17 years old.
Yeah, 17 years old. back in 1982. 1982, which is some people not too far away from me can remember that, who weren't even around. But as a young lad in Dudley, my sister actually said I was looking for employment, and my sister, because I didn't go to college or uni, academia wasn't for me at that particular time. And she said, there's this place called McDonald's opening up in Dudley High Street. McDonald's, what's that? And they sell hamburgers. And I said, yeah, I'll give it a go. Let's have a look. So I went down. The store hadn't even been built yet. So they were recruiting for a new restaurant.
Okay.
Store number 69. So store number 69, you can tell how, there's thousands of McDonald's now, and hundreds and hundreds in every town across the length and breadth of the country. So I applied for this job, got the job, and you know what? It was good fun. There were people my age, different backgrounds, and we formed a real good friendship, and it was a really fantastic restaurant as well. So I stayed with McDonald's, and the journey is for me, it's been incredible, and for a lot of people. A couple of years later, I decided that am I going to stay with McDonald's or not? But if I am going to stay with McDonald's, I'm going to give it my all and see where this journey takes me.
So at the start, it was just a part-time job, or was
Absolutely.
Okay.
And
just a bit of pocket money.
And to be straight up, I said, a lot like my employees now will probably say, I'm going to do this until I get a better job.
Yeah. Like a stepping stone.
I haven't found one yet. So I'm still there, 42, well, my 42nd year now, and with McDonald's. So it's been an incredible journey from crew member, working behind the counter, cooking burgers, serving tills, cleaning, every aspect of that job, and then joining the management program 18 months later, becoming it's a proud moment for me. A lad from Dudley. I remember putting my new white shirt on and white tie, and then the last shift manager leaving the building on my first ever shift running shift, and they gave me the keys to the restaurant, and said, right, there you go, you're on your own. And then walking out, and I'm in charge of this restaurant, 17-year-old lad, and thinking, oh my gosh. But then you get used to the initial shock of being in charge of all these people, and people saying, Martin, what do I do about this? And making decisions, and generally, if we look after our customers and our staff, then you won't go far wrong in McDonald's. So the journey just continued through the hierarchy to assistant manager, and during that journey, you don't stay in one restaurant. We didn't at that time, because the company was increasing at such a rate in the 80s and 90s. We were building 100 restaurants a year. It was fantastic, and so there were opportunities here, there, and everywhere. You probably stay in your base restaurant, but then they would open another restaurant 10, 20, 30 miles away, and they'd grab a bunch of experienced people to go and work in that restaurant for the initial period, to help them get on their feet, and then you go back to your home restaurant and you work.
Okay. Let's unpack it, because you said a lot of stuff there. But
I know.
Yeah. So we'll go from, because I feel like there's important learning on each aspect of it. So let's go level by level. So obviously, when you walked in, it was just a part-time job, and you weren't thinking too much about it.
No, not
at
all.
Yeah, and you were saying that you didn't want to go into education. It wasn't for you, but you just kind of wanted some money, basically.
Correct.
Yeah, that's like a part-time thing.
And I would say that. I don't blame my mum and dad at all. They're fantastic people. They're very hardworking. My dad was a labourer. He came from Jamaica in the early 50s, 60s, and built a life here. Married my mum. My mum was in the care industry, care homes and stuff. Worked in hospitals. And she later went on to have her own home for adults with learning difficulties. Which I was immensely proud of. Dad's a great guy. He had 7 brothers and sisters. It was fantastic growing up, and we never wanted for anything. We didn't have everything, but it wasn't a hard life. But I think looking back, it may have been harder for my parents than I realised at the time.
Okay,
And they
yeah,
mastered.
yeah.
So they did work very, very hard, and I'm immensely proud of them both. And I think when I was at school, all I wanted to do was get out and earn a living, and we didn't go on fancy holidays to abroad, you know, and to different countries. And I think at one point I even thought to myself, when I remember when we were taking our choices and options at school, and one of them was languages, and I distinctly remember thinking, what's the point in that? I'm never going to even leave the West Midlands, let alone the country. Aeroplane, that's for rich people. And I just think back then, you just in 70s, early 80s, for me and my background, I didn't think that would be even a possibility. And so education wasn't
the be-all, end-all.
Be-all and end-all. I thought, you know, I can go out there, I can work hard, and I can achieve be more hands-on and see where that takes me. If you were to ask me now, as a 17-year-old Martin, what do you want to do with your life? And would you not think about secondary education? Then I would say, right, go and do that. Go and do it. Try it. Do it. Try and do it. Because has it held me back? Not really, no. Because I've achieved more than my wildest dreams in the career path that I took. Because not many people get to become franchisees at McDonald's who start. There's a few, but in relation to the number of employees,
it's a small percentage.
It's a very small percentage, and I was very, very lucky to be able to. Well, I say lucky. I made my own luck.
But it's hard work, dedication, and then obviously there's luck along the way.
There is, and people, young people, I would say today, have got to realise nothing's handed to them on a plate.
No.
And in this world of superb technology and internet and all that, then I can understand why people want instant success. But it can happen. Don't get me wrong, but you know, sometimes there has to be substance to whatever you're doing. And hard work, graft, integrity, and to be able to go the extra mile literally goes a long way. And I found that out, that, you know, sometimes you get pushed back. Sometimes you get pushed back. And there are times
but I feel like, have you heard of the quote of snakes and ladders?
Yes.
Yeah, so I'll explain it anyway. So obviously for people that don't know, it's like everyone loves you when the ladders are there. But then when the snakes come, then very few can come back from it.
Correct.
And both are definite.
Correct, and both are learning things, you know, and you got to learn to handle success as well as failure. Because if you get there and you think, well, that's it.
That's end of the road.
And you're moonwalking around the place thinking this is it. You think, you know, so, and also when there's promotions and things like that, you know, some people get promoted before you, and you think, well, how come them there? Don't let it set you back. You know, you just keep, you know, doing
fighting.
And I remember with some guys, one of my bosses saying the cream will always rise to the top, and it's true. And you know, you will get there, but it won't be handed to you. But you just got to be always do the right thing. You know, you'll always. But
so where did you learn these fundamentals? Because let's talk about. Because I feel like it's a lot of grinding, even though it was a part-time job. Because McDonald's, as a crew member, like with any fast food business or anything where there's oil, there's pizza, there's loads of things going on, it's hard work. I've done it myself, like with Pizza 190. Like that was my dad's business, and I was kind of like the active manager in terms of like it's a small piece of business, but it was me handling the workers. And for me, that's where I learned my grinding, getting burnt with the oil, making pizzas, and then you still got to talk to customers. You still got to put on a brave face, even though your finger might be bleeding off. You know what I'm saying? And I remember my brother's hand started turning black because of all the smoke, the mist, and all that. So talk to me about that, because at 17 years old, it's hard learning, it's hard graft, and it's honest living, but it's hard.
It is.
So why stick with it? And what did you learn from it?
Well, I think bosses have got a responsibility as well to nurture people, because you may think that there's nothing for you, but then that communication between the whole team and coming down, because you have to, there's got to be some way of everyone having an opportunity to progress. But sometimes some people won't, and they'll find their level, and McDonald's for me is that there's always going to be a level of people who are going to work hard, and they're the foundation and the bedrock of McDonald's, and there'll be a few people, well, more than a few people that will be able to go through the hierarchy, but everybody should have the chance to do that. And there's different things that we can do in McDonald's with the training programs to take people through that journey to whichever direction they want to go to. Because, you know, I've seen people in my lifetime go from crew member, assistant manager, to regional manager, vice presidents, and multi-store, multi-restaurant franchisees from humble beginnings. And you know, all you've got to, well, say it's not all you've got to do, you've got to have a clear picture in your own mind, is where do I want to go, and then talk to somebody about that journey and say, what do I have to do to get to there? You know, what are the steps and stages, you know, and it's not, but you have to drive it yourself as well, because it's not going to be given to you.
How did you formulate that for yourself? Because obviously you told me initially it was just a part-time job. So
Correct.
How did you turn into a passion? Or
I think, you know, I got exposed to a lot of things through going from shift manager to assistant manager. You learn different aspects of the business, and then you become the restaurant manager, and then I got the opportunity to be an area manager, which was fantastic, and I had 12 restaurants around the Birmingham area. And
let's talk about the initial step before I forget, in terms of from crew member to the next position above that.
Okay.
Yeah, so let's go from there.
Okay.
I
remember I was on holiday. I was just on a day off. I think it was a day off, and a good friend of mine, we were just walking over the park, and we were just chewing the fat, talking, and I'd been with McDonald's for about 12 months, I think it was, and back then I had this, it's a job till I get another job attitude.
Yeah.
And I was like, we were about lying back, looking in the sky, and I said, I've either got to give it my all and push and go further, or I've got to go and do something else. And I chose to, and I remember saying to Mark, my mate, I said, you know what, I'm going to go for it. And during my next review, I said, I want to be a shift manager.
Okay.
And let me be a shift manager.
Where did that come from? Like, is that something that you had, like,
I don't know.
or was it just like within
just in my character, I guess.
Okay.
Just in my character, and just keep pushing. And I think you just keep pushing to the next position. What have I got to do to become a salaried manager? As soon as I was a shift manager, and I saw
what did they tell you to get?
You have to do X, Y. You have to learn different skills and produce results. You know, whether it's in sales growth, people development, and people development is a big thing in McDonald's, and that you have to nurture and train and develop people to run great restaurants.
But how do you develop your people development? How do you develop your development? But in terms of like when you're a crew member and then they're telling you that you gotta work on these skills to get there. There's one thing someone telling you, and there's another thing you actually doing it and actually knowing what to do.
Well, I think
like they might give you parameters, but then it's upon you to kind of.
You also have to listen to feedback as well from
that's what I'm trying to get at.
From your peers, you know, and some of it's hard to take, and how you take that. You know, we used to have things called rap sessions, they were called at the time. And we have employee surveys now, which is great, and it's great that we give people an opportunity to feed back to senior people about how the restaurant runs and how they see individuals, you know, without getting personal to you know, but if you have to make people want to work there, you know, you give people a reason to want to work there, make it enjoyable. The overarching thing is that, you know, our customers have got to have a great experience, and we've got to look after our employees as well to make sure that they have a great experience in the restaurants as well, because it is a difficult job. They face challenges from challenging operations, which sometimes is too busy, for the amount of people we got on. Sometimes equipment breaks down.
And sometimes you get flustered, the pressure, high pressure environments.
So in those challenging times, it's very easy when you've got the perfect amount of crew on. The customers are coming in perfect steps, not all at once. And it's a great thing, and it's a pleasure to watch and be involved in. But if a coach load of people come in and overwhelm this, or you run out of stock, which happens occasionally for whatever reason, then you as a manager have to be able to manage yourself and the people around you in that situation. Some of it comes with age and maturity, because I do see it in young people now without enough experience, and it's to be expected. And the way I look at it is, and I tell them, I says, if their mum and dad was standing behind them, how would you speak to your employees?
Okay, yeah.
And you wouldn't possibly say some of the things that you may think you're going to say if that was the case. And if they was your brother or your sister, would you want them to be spoken to like that? And that's how you handle people and develop your own interpersonal skills, is have a different mindset about what you want to achieve with your employees to take your restaurant and give a better experience to your customers and your own employees.
When did you realize that McDonald's was a mechanism in terms of like the business side of things? So you'd have one person doing, let's say, the drinks, one person doing the food. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like it's actually an art of delegation in a sense. But so when did you realize that? Because it's easy when you become a shift manager, like that first step up, because like you could kind of get not too big for your boots in a sense, but like that kind of mentality seeps in where like you're trying to obviously push yourself further. So in order to push yourself further, you got to get the team working. And sometimes there might be a case where you become overbearing, or you're with the guy doing the drinks, you're with the girl doing the cashier, speaking to customers, like you're behind everyone. You know what I'm saying? Like, so when you how do you let go, and what's the balance?
From a customer's point of view, it looks a very complicated system, and it is. But it is all systems, and if you break the operation down for a drive-through, you've got your drive-through. Let's just take the drive-through as one platform, because there's several platforms. You've got drive-through, you've got the people in the restaurant, you've got your delivery, you've got your digital platform. So the drive-through itself, which consists of someone taking an order at the screens, then you've got someone taking the cash at the window, and you've got someone presenting at the window. So as a manager, you have to make sure that those individuals have everything they need to perform those tasks. So you've got to have someone there doing the right things, and they have to be trained how to speak to customers, how to handle cash, how to present the food efficiently. But behind that, then you've got your kitchen team. So whilst you're all a team, they're the production, they're the engine room, and then they have to produce the food in the order that it's coming up on the screens efficiently. So the order's taken, the food is prepared, and it's all meets at that final window, and it's handed to the customer perfectly. So if at any point there's a pinch point and something slows down or gets blocked, that is the skill of the manager to understand what is causing the problem and find out what the root cause is. And it's not always immediate on first sight. It might be something else that's causing. Why have you got queues? Is it because they're not taking the orders quick enough? Is it because they're not handing the food out quick enough? Is it because they're not producing the food quick enough? And you as a manager have to have the skill. It might be easy. It might be a point of there's the special orders and they're holding cars at the window instead of parking them and blocking. So that's how
there's loads of variable factors.
So it's quite it's a skilled job to be a shift manager, because you have to be available and aware. And
at all times.
That takes a lot of time. And so you can't just say, right, you're going to be a manager. There you go. Here's a shirt. Off you go.
Plus, as well, with managers, people don't realize that, especially a shift manager, when you're hands-on, is that there's no break time really, because if something happens drastically wrong, like you're taking your coffee break or your smoke break, you have to go back on site.
But in a McDonald's, you think there's only one. Well, there is. No, I don't think you think that. But there's the number of people in the restaurant, as we said, I've got 350 employees. So in restaurants, you've got the best part of 15, 20 managers in each restaurant. So there's only 7 days in a week. However, there has to be managers to cover managers. You'll find in any restaurant, in any day, that there's going to be 3 shift managers. One opens and does the breakfast shift. One comes in midday, takes over from the breakfast person, does the day shift. And the other one comes in. Then layered onto that, you've got support managers who will manage your kitchen, manage service, manage production, manage service. And so they'll take over that side, and then there'll be an overall shift manager who makes sure that...
Doesn't that make it harder in a sense? Because I see how it makes it easier, but then there's the quote of too many cooks spoil the broth. So then how do you, so who's the manager above? So you got overall shift manager.
You got the shift manager on the day, yes.
The overall shift manager, so he's managing the...
So someone has to be accountable for the overall operations of the day. And they'll do what's called a travel path. So every half an hour, 40 minutes, they'll have a wander around outside, toilets, dining area, kitchen, backups, make sure everything's in order. And they're looking at quality, service and cleanliness to make sure all those things are right. If they're not right, if someone's dropped a cup on the floor, they'll pick it up and they'll put it in a bin. However, if the backyard's untidy, they'll formulate a plan in their own head and say, this is an issue. And when they get, and also they have to prioritize as well, because if there's a cup on the floor there could be a big spill in the back and somebody could be in danger. So you've got to prioritize what's important at that particular, what's the most important thing at that time to get right. If there's queues wrapped around the building or there's a big spill on dining area, you would think that, there's queues wrapped around the building is the main thing. No, it's not. It's the safety aspect of someone slipping over and hurting themselves is more important. So we deal with that, then you deal with the queues. And that's the skill of the shift manager to prioritize those things.
So how do you develop the skill for yourself? Because clearly you're successful at it because you move forward.
McDonald's has got a fantastic training program in the restaurant. Now online, there's lots of things online that you can learn for all disciplines in management. And we have some great training centres as well. And one part of my journey was I was a training officer. I worked in Sutton Coldfield. And I trained shift managers on how to run shifts and different programs. So and I spent about 4 years doing that in the regional training department, which is an absolutely fantastic part of my journey as well. I actually managed to get out to Chicago as well, which was very interesting.
So talk to me about Chicago.
Chicago was a great opportunity for me whilst I was in the training department in Sutton Coldfield, McDonald's. There was a view within globally that we needed a different approach to restaurant supervision. When I mean supervision, I mean area managers, supervisors who have 4, 5, 6, 7 restaurants. That we needed to, rather than dictate, it was more of a coaching approach to restaurant management and consulting. So this was the pilot for the consulting course that led from McDonald's having regional area supervisors to consultants, which in itself took a different mindset. A supervisor typically would dictate, you need to do this, you need to do that, you need to do that.
Like a siege mentality.
Whereas the consultants would talk about, what do you think we would need to do to get from here to there? How would you approach this to make an improvement in this area? How would you develop these people? So that, whilst we were improving standards, results, we were also developing our teams to think more consultatively. I'm glad I said that correctly. Which was, I spent a week in Oak Brook, which is a fantastic thing in itself to see. This is the home of McDonald's head office, globally. And when I went there, I was truly impressed with our London head office, but I went there and it was just mind blowing It was like a little city within a city.
Was there an imposter syndrome?
Any what? Sorry.
An imposter syndrome. Have you heard of that? Like coming in.
No. Go on. Talk
So
to me
imposter syndrome in terms of like as you said before, you're a young kid from Dudley. That's kind of like, and you were saying that aeroplanes weren't for poor people.
Oh, I get what you think. Did I feel that I didn't belong there?
Yeah, or out of place almost.
I think I realised how well I fitted into McDonald's.
Okay.
You know,
so it's kind of the opposite.
You know, because I can do what they do. I've got a story to tell, and I'm actually here. And someone's seen something in me to get me to this point as well.
So it was almost validation.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
You know, and it was great to come back and feed back and launch this program, and the hundreds and hundreds of consultants now.
So that didn't seep in at all, like the fact that
not at all.
Okay, that's a great mindset to have.
Yeah,
because I feel like a lot of people, when they get to them positions,
I think in McDonald's, I think
because it's only natural.
Well, I can go and mix it with anyone on the restaurant floor. You know, okay, I can still work till, I can still work fries, I can still work grill, and I can dress products.
Okay,
it'll take me a couple of seconds to work out but I can still, I've still got that manual dexterity to be able to function in that. You know, and at the end of the day, that's...
So you felt like you earned the right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Got no qualms about that. So it was a wonderful thing.
So it was kind of like, what I said before is the validation. Like there was validation in you going. So then talk to me about, you've mentioned there about learning to be proactive rather than dictatorial in terms of like your delivery to people. But then how did that come about? Was there any couple pointers in the workshop that you did in Chicago that kind of moved in that direction?
Chicago's a very long time ago, and I know that the basic reason why we went there, the details of each end of the day is a distant memory.
Okay, yeah.
All I remember is that it was a great program, and when we came back and launched it, it was a terrific success. And you know, we can see how consultants consult now. It's come back from that time, and it was the right thing to do, obviously. I mean, myself, great. You know, I've always been a people person anyway. You know, and if I had one failing, it's probably I'm a bit too soft. I'm too willing to let people.
Okay.
You know, everyone makes mistakes. You know, and sometimes I'm guilty of false kindness, which is, you know, sometimes people need to know the truth. Although I'm all right now, not too bad now. But in the earlier days, I was terrible. I was terrible letting people get away with stuff. But now you got to think about them as well. You can't get away with that. You can't behave like that. You have to take ownership of your
accountability,
and to move forward for them and for the business as well.
So how did that learning come from? Was there like a harsh reality where?
Well, yeah,
you told
you know, when you're not getting the results that you want, particularly, sometimes you just have to say it may involve a move with someone. It may, you know, a change in career, but you have to do what's best for everyone, because not only have you got that person to think of, you got the other 300 people behind them as well. So, you know, sometimes you have to be cruel to be kind.
So how did that gradual process come about? Was it just?
I think it's almost like you have to not practice it, not go out and practice it, but don't shy away from it. You know, if you've got a difficult conversation coming up, trust me, it's never as bad as you think it is. You know, or any kind of difficult event, or I'm sure you've thought about the night before some big thing. You think, oh God, I got to do this. When you actually do it, it's not as bad as you think it is.
No.
Or someone says, I really need to speak to you, and then you have this conversation. It's never as bad as you think it is. Never.
No.
And
you overthink a lot. I feel like
exactly, you overthink things, and all I say to people is just do the right thing, and no one can say anything bad about what you've done. You know, be honest, open, do the right thing, and everything will work itself out. It truly will.
That's that open communication, because I feel like, especially in McDonald's, where you explained there, where there's lots of little cogs in a wider machine. So then I feel like without communication, everything will kind of fall flat.
Absolutely.
So then, talk to me about. So you gone from. So that was area manager, wasn't it? For
area
Chicago?
manager, yeah.
And then from, how do you get to area manager to franchisee? So what was the
Okay,
it's a big development.
So I'd been in the training department. So I came out and I'd been an area manager. I went into the training department. I came out as a consultant. So I went in with five restaurants, went in the training department, did that for a few years, did the consultant's course, came out as a consultant.
Actually, before we go on, why keep moving forward?
Why keep moving forward?
Yeah. So why not stick to area manager and just do that? Why go into consultant?
It's a challenge.
Okay.
It's a challenge.
Yeah.
You know, I could do that. That looks fun. I could do that. And you know, you want to try and do all things. You know, at one point I probably wanted to be a regional manager.
Okay.
However, but things change, and you see things, and you think, well, and so I was an area consultant, and then I remember speaking to my regional manager and saying, I want to be a franchisee, and then I became a franchising consultant, which that was a real eye-opener, because all my working McDonald's relationship had been working for McDonald's, the company. And here, McDonald's is a term we use, a three-legged stool. You have McDonald's, the company, the corporation. You have the franchisees, and you have suppliers.
Okay.
So the people who prepare the food, build the restaurants, seats, chairs, maintenance, food, paper, supplies, anything. And they cannot operate independently. They have to work together. And that's what we call the three-legged stool. So if one of them falls off, it's going to fall over.
Yeah.
So McDonald's, the franchisees, and the suppliers. And I learned more about that when I went into field services, because you have to talk to your franchisees. They're separate businesses on their own, as I am. You know, you're an entity on your own, but you still have to work with your suppliers, and you learn so much about that interdependence that you didn't realize when you worked as an employee, because it was all about QS&C, quite rightly, and driving sales, and optimizing profitability, and looking after your customers immensely. Now, when you move into field service, you have to think more holistically about the big picture,
the wider image
of the business, and some of the things you don't get exposed to as an employee that you soon realize about economics of operating a restaurant as a business, because you don't get involved in rates and service fee and rents, and as an employee to much degree, your exposure to finances is somewhat limited.
But talk to me about that, because that's a massive change from a 70-year-old kid from Dudley that was into biking, that was kind of just doing it as a part-time job, and that growth there to that, and especially like the mathematics and the finances, economics, learning about rates, business, marketing, people management, all these different skills.
Luckily, when I was at school, things that I did like were things that were factual. Mathematics, physics, technical drawing, and anything that had an answer, yes, no, right, wrong, I was quite good, because English language, yes. English literature, well, it's almost opinionated. Was it a good story? Wasn't it a bad story? That's it. I just wanted to know 2 and 2 is actually 4, and so mathematics. I was quite good at mathematics and physics. So I enjoy that kind of stuff, and looking at accounts and stuff like that. You get to learn that. You do have to learn it, along with many.
But it's both, because it's interesting you mentioned that when you learn about English literature, and it's a matter of opinion. Yeah. But the trajectory for a consultant in terms of each business by business, it differs.
Of course it does.
And it's a gamble at the end of the day. It's calculated, but it's still a gamble in terms of, like, if I do this, if I do X, Y, Z, this might happen, but if I do this, then this might happen, and then it's like you have to take that risk. So then, how does that come about for you? Because you've always been factual. So now, when there's jeopardy in it, and there's something where it could go left or right.
Well, you have to do your own work, don't you? You have to analyze your business and trends. There's many things that we can use to track sales growth. Even from different platforms, your drive-through, your in-store, your delivery sales, your online sales. and when you think, well, why are my sales not growing? You have to look at the trends. What are your service times like? Just because you think you're not getting cars coming through the drive-through, so have a look at your service times. And if they're in line, look at something else. But if they're not, fix that first. Then look at that. And that's where you can
so the
small steps.
Yeah,
you have to look at the trends and find out what's going on locally or whatever to make sure you're on the right path before you make radical decisions about.
That's easier when there's no pressure, but if you've got, let's say, a business that's sliding, and even though you might have quickened the service times or quickened whatever it is, it's still going on the downward trajectory. How do you kind of like navigate that? Like, how do you...
if you take a step back, you're always under pressure. Pressure is something you do have to. Any business owner is under constant pressure, and if anyone not running a business says, "Yeah, I could do that," yeah, you probably could operate that, but as an employee. But when you go home and you have to think about everything, it's very difficult to switch off.
I was going to move on to that.
And I have my ways of switching off. Get the job done first. Make sure you go home having done the job, all the tasks that you said you were going to get done today. Get them done. Don't put things off. Don't procrastinate. Just get it done. Be on time for everything. So you're one step ahead and try and get the job done. And then because it's difficult to switch off when I wish I'd done this, or I wish I'd done that. I wish I'd looked at this. I wish I'd said this to someone before. Just get it all done.
There's a lot to unpack there because the job's never done. Because I know that myself, because obviously it was my dad's business, but I was only 18, 19, but I was working hand in hand. Like I was there 24/7 every step of the way. And then for me, it was kind of like, I'd never switch off. Like even now, in terms of the podcast, like I'm always thinking. So, and I feel like you're the same in that kind of sense where you never really truly shut off.
No, and I think if you're passionate about it, going to work, if you call it work, sometimes I struggle to call it work because it's a passion. It's your life. It is your life. And but sometimes you just have to compartmentalize that and go into something completely different, which is either to do with the charity, which is some way linked a little bit. But my other two passions are probably motorcycles and golf. And my motorcycle passion, as having been the chairman of Birmingham's biggest motorcycle club, the Birmingham Advanced Motorcyclists, is a great outlet for me to use the skills that I've built within McDonald's and the job that I do now, and translate that into running or supervising or chairing this fantastic charity again of Birmingham Advanced Motorcyclists, which is what they want to do is to make sure that everyone gets more training on how to ride motorcycles safely, so there's less accidents and people have more fun on them responsibly. So the 350 members in the club spread out over Birmingham, and they're part of the IAM, Institute of Motorcycles, Advanced Motorcyclists, and they're a charity, a nationwide charity as well, and they work with government and police to make roads safer by giving the training out to people to make sure they don't fall off their bikes and injure themselves or anybody else. There's so much to this club as well. The biggest part is the training. There's a lot of ex-police and current police who are in the club who do a lot of the motorcycle training, and one guy's done it for over 30 years. Marcus, a great guy, and
so you've got a proper Wolf of Wolf of Wall Street kind of story in terms of you're a young kid from Dudley who was interested in biking. Then you got into got a part-time job, developed yourself, then got into a franchisee role. But before that, you had your love for biking, that kind of, because you left it for a bit, didn't you? I think
I had bikes. I used to ride off-road bikes on the rough, probably where I shouldn't have been riding them as a kid. And then
so you've always been a one for chaos.
Yeah, well, I feel like organised chaos, I guess. And And what we talk. Let's talk about mistakes. As a 17-year-old lad, I remember tinkering with my old bike, and I'll just take it round the block. And I went slightly too fast around the block, and had my collar felt. And that wasn't a great experience. By the law, and I got my knuckles wrapped. And I learned from that, and I've never since had a parking ticket. As much as a parking ticket.
So you heard you that much?
So from that, I learned from that. And so, from going from that's not how to ride a motorcycle to being the chairman of a huge motorcycle club that devotes its time to riding sensibly and safely on Britain's roads, is some change in actually the change changed quite rapidly after my skirmish with the law. And I at 17, you just don't realise the impact of what your behaviour can be on your own personal mortality or those around you, and not to mention your own family and the families of others. And so you have to be responsible, and I'd say this to any young person or old person: think about your driving behaviour and what it impacts on other people. Don't tear around the streets at high speed. It's not great. It's not a great look.
But I feel like sometimes like I'm 100% agree with everything you're saying. But I feel like sometimes it's you gotta do, like, obviously not that I want to just throughout life, because I feel like with you learn from your wrongs to kind of make it right. Because I feel like sometimes when you project onto others or say like like you can't do that, they're gonna end up doing it. Not the high speed. I'm not about that. I'm on about in different walks of life. But with you, I'm trying to figure out how you learn the patience. Because when you speak as if you're not in a high pressure environment. Like, you speak as if everything's calm.
Well, because when I don't know whether you get older, you experience a lot of things, and McDonald's has allowed me to. I've been allowed to go to so many different parts of the world. With McDonald's, without McDonald's. With McDonald's, I've been to, as I say, to US a few times. I've been to Poland. I've been to India. And you see the haves and the have-nots in different areas.
You broaden your horizon.
And you think, well, what one man's problem is probably somebody else's pleasure. And so I don't get too et up about stuff. Certainly don't get et up about stuff that I have no control about.
Was that always it?
I think so. Because
that's a strong thing to have.
It is, and you can. I think you can learn it.
I'm learning it as we speak.
Can you control it? Can you control that? Can you do anything about that right now? If the answer is no, don't worry about it. Do not worry. There's nothing you can do about it. You may be frustrated, this, that, and the other. Just worry about the things you can deal with, and move on from there. So going back to the club, I had my experiences when I was a young kid on motorbikes, but now, I've got 4 motorbikes. I ride them sensibly. I've got old ones, I've got new ones, and I love doing that. And it's just a great release, because once you're on a motorbike, you're not thinking about anything else. Trust me.
It's adrenaline in it.
You're thinking about who's going to come out of that junction. Can I make this overtake safely without causing offence to that person in that car? So and security and just enjoy it. Enjoy the open road. And the bits that I love commuting on bikes is great. However, I prefer to have an organised ride out. Let's all meet up and we'll go to Wales or wherever. And we do organise. So I would say we've got the training aspect of it. Whether it's cornering, overtaking, roundabouts, braking hard. All these training sessions that we run, that culminates in someone getting their advanced riding test completed. But then there's the social side of it. We have club nights and we have people, guest speakers, and we talk of this and that, and then we also have tours. So there's tours organised. There's about 6 or 7 tours. Well, actually more than that. It's about 10 tours throughout the year that people can book on, and we go to the coast, south, Scotland. I think Scotland's the biggest tour that we do. I think it's 12 days in Scotland. I haven't had the luxury of going on that one yet.
Okay.
But some of the other ones I've been, and it's just nice. You go out, you have a ride, you get to your hotel, you go out and have a meal, sit down, have a chat, bit of banter, get up, and there's an organised route where we go out for the day.
Okay.
And the restaurant's organised, and we go and come back, and then another evening meal or whatever, and then we'll get up in the morning, and then we'll all take a route back, and we try and keep away from the motorways because it's just boring on the motorway.
Yeah.
We try and keep the A roads and just keep it sensible. But I guarantee that what we do, we don't speed in 30s, 40s, 50s. Once we see those signs, that's it. We slow down and ride sensibly.
Yeah. But that thrill-seeking thing has always been like within your life, isn't it? From 17, and it's carried through, right? But what I'm trying to get at is like I get it, but I don't get it's not the right phrase, but I'm trying to understand the aspect of like thrill-seeking, and then where did you learn that? Because I feel like you do what I done previously, where you be true within the fabric. Because I learned this on another podcast we've got. Right. But what I mean by that is like it was a Tom Sport for Life. He was telling me basically that as he was a founder of his organization, and then as he became CEO of his own thing, and he got bigger and bigger, like he decided to step away and just act as a CEO of that. But you've been within the fabric of McDonald's through, right? So because you mentioned it there, the learning of letting go and doing your day-to-day stuff, and then just not overthinking basically. Yeah. So talk to me about that process and how did you kind of learn it? Because I feel like you do what I was doing initially when I was doing my business in the world.
You can't do it all.
Yeah.
You can't do it all. And if you are, that's an issue. And you've got to trust your team as well. Sometimes they won't get it right. Sometimes they just will not get it right. And sometimes you have to look internally and say, well, did they have the right information? Have they got the right skills? Did they have the right tools to do the job? And you've just got to keep coaching people. It'll never be perfect. Nothing's perfect. There's never been a point in my life or career I've said, I'm there, I'm at the best, that's the best I am, and it'll never get any better. You've always got to keep trying to do better. It's just a realization that nothing's ever perfect. And I remember that our CEO at the time, Bob Ray's name was his really early days, and I think we had a visit the once, and they were graded. I think we got 99%, and I remember him saying, "Nobody's perfect," and at the time you think, well, why couldn't he just given us 100%?
Yeah.
And he didn't, and I've always remembered that nobody's perfect, and you just got to keep battling on. You got to chase perfection. Yeah, sure, you have to chase it, but if you don't get it, just keep going. Keep going, and enjoy the journey. That's another thing. Enjoy the journey. Yeah. There's always tomorrow. And life can be short as well. The things happen in life that aren't great. The death of a family member can really change your outlook on certain things, and so family is another thing that people need to recognise. And as much as I love McDonald's, as much as I love golf, as much as I love motorcycles, it's family first. And I've got 3 beautiful daughters and a wife, and they have to come first in any decision making. And working hard is part of that, to make sure that they're okay now and going forward, and and giving yourself to them as well, allowing time for that, because sometimes you can be wrapped up in your own schedule. I'm here today, I'm going there tomorrow, playing golf tomorrow, riding bikes that day, doing a talk at the motorcycle club, talking to your wonderful self today. Allow time for your family, and recently, don't tell anybody. I went to I did something the other day for my wife and my young daughter. We went to the ballet. The ballet. Okay. And I thought, what, let's do it. Because it's not for me. It's not for me. And we went to the ballet. Ophelia, I think it was called, and Capalia, sorry. And it was absolutely fantastic, and give stuff a go. You know, whether it's in work, a job, a task or whatever, give it a go. And I went to see this ballet with my wife and my daughter, and you know what?
Yeah.
It was fantastic.
Yeah.
I've got to say,
Okay.
I haven't ordered a pair of tights yet. But
Well, you coming on the way?
I absolutely thought it was fantastic. What these people do on that stage it's nothing short of incredible. Absolutely incredible. Absolute genius. How they can choreograph that story and put it into dance, and with the scenery, the orchestra, you know, it's a sight to behold. So if I can go watch the ballet, I'm not saying that everybody should go watch the ballet.
No, but take opportunities.
But take opportunities where they are, and don't dismiss things because you've got a preconceived idea. It's that's not for me. I also play golf. Golf is a crazy sport. It's mad. You either you can hate it 1 minute and love it the next. It all depends on the last shot that you make. You can again, it's something that gets you away from the normal day-to-day business work, an escape. And it's a chance to meet up with friends and talk about anything you want to talk about for 4 or 5 hours. Usually rubbish, but anything. You know, the funny thing about golf is you'll rock up in your nice top and stuff, and you spring in your step. You'll go to the driving range beforehand, knock a few balls, everything's going pin straight. You go in the clubhouse, you'll have a cup of coffee with your mates. It's all great. You'll be running up to the tee, you'll get up, whack, oh no, and it's spun off right or left. However, you know, there are those moments where everything goes right, and there's not a great, a bit like business really. Sometimes it just goes right for you, but mostly it's a series of mistakes.
That's what I didn't realize about golf, you know.
With the odd miracle that happens, and that's the thing that keeps you going back to golf. You'll hit this perfect shot, and it's absolutely wonderful. And but mostly it's a good social thing. It gets you out in the open air.
I was just going to say that.
It's good exercise. And it's pretty good exercise for me because I do more walking than most people, going left and right and left instead of going straight. But no, it's a challenge as well. And you know,
no, but it's a test of patience.
Oh, it's a test of patience.
Because I do things. Because you know, when I was younger, and you'd have Sky Sports or like, and obviously we had like a dodgy box, but you know, Sky Sports, innit? Okay. So you'd be watching like the golf will come on, you know, like half time for football and stuff like that, and I'll be like, oh, golf's boring. Golf's this. Obviously, I'm a younger
That's
kid.
exactly what I thought when I started. But then you start and you
now I understand it more.
You're not very good, and then I had some lessons as well, which is if anybody out there is going to start playing golf, get some lessons, because that was the thing that will change you, because you don't know what you don't know until you have some lessons. And when you can start striking the ball well, sometimes, I won't say all the time, but sometimes, then you get that feeling of what a club can do. Because basically the clubs that you've got are as good as the ones that the professionals use, and they can hit that ball consistently all the time. That's the thing, consistency. But
you learn consistency throughout. Like obviously you got to keep trying, and it's also being patient.
And you've also got to
keep a bottle.
You've got to work or play within your own ability. It's when you think you can do what you can't, you soon run out of talent. And then that's when you get into trouble. Most holes are par 4, which you have to get from the tee into the hole with 4 shots. Okay. You have to look at your own strengths and weaknesses and think, well, what's realistic for me? Is it 4? Probably not. Is it 5? Yes. Then go for 5, because the minute you think, I'll just take a bit more club and oh no, you just put yourself out of position and you end up having a 6 or a 7.
Plus, it's a tactical game as well, because it's like
you have to control your emotions. You have to control your own ego, I suppose, in that you're not as good as you think you are. And again, in business, sometimes that happens. You think, I can, but you're not. You have to be realistic sometimes. You know, everyone can hit that great shot, 1 in a million. And but if you're in a competition, let's say, if you're having a knockabout with your mates and it's just for fun, go and try and hit that super shot over water, round the corner, through the trees, through a tree like that, instead of doing the safe shot and just knocking it out onto the fairway, then going, then knock yourself out. But in a competition, you have to play to your ability, and that's how you win comps. Is the person who can show some restraint usually wins, and they're the most consistent.
So it's the ones that keep the bottle.
Keep the bottle and don't
keep the lid on it, basically.
Keep a lid on it. You know, we can all smash it out the park every now and again, but you have to.
Like you said, it's 1 in a million. It's
one
like,
in a million shot.
Okay. So what would you rather? Like, just a quick question off the cuff. Would you rather have you yourself be someone that's consistent over time, or like someone that takes a calculated risk to win gold? Do you know where I'm coming from? It's a poor way of explaining it.
You have to, especially when you.
It's a balance.
It is balance, because it's all right. I can't be reckless with the business. I may be the head of MGB restaurants, trading as McDonald's, but I can't be reckless with spending. I can't be reckless with the people, just on a chance or a whim. You can't do it when there's other people involved. Golf's different, you know. It's only me. I'm just me. Unless you're playing with a team in a team event, you can. You're only affecting yourself. But when you've got other people behind you, you can't be reckless. No, you have to be consistent and think more long term. You have to have a long term strategy.
Where did the stomach for the disadvantages and the knockbacks come? Because it's always a calculated risk to grow. So did the stomach come just from the event, or were you kind of preconceived idea of it beforehand? Or
I think there's a realization as well that you know where you are right now. You know, people would gladly be where you are right now. So most of the time, sometimes they probably wouldn't. Some of the issues that come with running a business, and you know, you're in it for the long game. This is just a small thing. You know, I think things happen in McDonald's or any business that you think, well, crikey, how are we going to move forward with this? And but it's just a blip in the road, a bump in the road. Some bumps are bigger than others, and there are more good times than bad. There are more good times than bad, and you've still got to have a love for what you do, which I still do. It's great.
I think that's a great note to end on. It's consistency over time and learning the long game, knowing that it ain't gonna come immediately, but you gotta keep trying, keep persevering,
keep going, you know, and learn from your mistakes. Learn from mistakes, and always trying to better yourself as well. But enjoy the journey, and I've been on one hell of a journey.
Yeah. Thank you for coming on. It's a great podcast.
Cheers. Thank you very much for having me. We'll speak again soon, I hope.
It's good.